Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, I'm going to be sending a video on trolls, and like with other videos, while I am counting this as one I want to do, I want to still give thanks to Ayushi, Kumkar, and Ogudi and Michael for suggesting this video. Enjoy, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to say one thing about your description here. I disagree with the second sentence because it's a great film to me and I saw it in theaters with someone interested because she loves troll toys. My point is that the fact that you don't like this film doesn't mean everybody out there doesn't like it.
It's worth asking, how long will Fox keep using the 20th century logo in the 21st century? Will they be watching a screener in 2345 and some intern will finally pipe up, you know, we really should update that, and the studio heads will nod quietly in collective realization? Nice try, DreamWorks, but you're not going to distract me from noting this 47 seconds of 2 logos.
Well, this is just to fit in with the scrapbook elements in the movie, and I also don't think this will distract us from noticing you sitting logo lengths.
Once upon a time.
Yet another DreamWorks movie opens with a shot of a storybook and Once Upon a Time riff.
Well, Poppy tells stories to the trolls through scrapbooking, so it's here to fit in with that since she's the one narrating the story.
Wow, these trolls sure do look a lot like Stitch from Disney's Lilo and Stitch. Hey, where'd all these lawyers come from?
Ignoring that question, they do look a bit like Stitch, but you seem to be forgetting that this film is based on the troll dolls created by Thomas Dam. You see how similar that troll toy looks to Poppy?
Bergens didn't know how to sing, or dance, or even hug.
Sure, these Bergen assholes are assholes, but resorting to wedgies as a form of communication?
Yeah, and that's also shown again later in the movie.
In the Hall of the Mountain King gets a hip-hop update, and Edvard Grieg is popping and locking in his grave.
Jimmy says something random cliche.
Seriously, the Bergens eat trolls and shit, but they also have a donut shop? Doesn't that shit make them happy too? How can you sadly eat a fucking donut?
That's a good point, but the Bergens at this point don't know how to feel happiness on their own, so they likely would eat a donut in a sad way.
This is a very special trollstice.
How do they feed the whole town with 2 tiny grills and the tiny trolls? Doesn't the happiness dissipate when they're divided up into parts?
I'm sure some of the Bergens are planning to just eat some of the trolls by themselves and others plan to use the grills for foods to eat with them.
Please make me happy, Princess Poppy.
What the hell are the grills for then?
Probably for foods to eat the trolls with, like I previously said.
5 minutes in and we already have our second underwear sight gag. DreamWorks, you do you.
Yeah, so get used to it.
Also, if they're digging, they would have picked up the axe and swung again, but Chef apparently thought this was good enough and called it a day.
Sure, she doesn't pick the axe up, but they didn't stop there since the shovel dug through the dirt a few seconds later.
She is hereby banished from Bergen town forever!
I know King Gristle is looking for a scapegoat, but why is Chef the one that's banished? I mean, she just cooks the trolls, right? She can't be the only one in town checking in with them on the regular.
Because Chef is the one in charge of trolls, which is why King Gristle Sr. blames and banishes her from Bergen town.
This is where we will rebuild our civilization.
Unless we've just had a massive time jump, they couldn't be more than a day's walk from Bergen town.
It probably was, since that's what we see later with Poppy and Branch, but the movie just didn't show that because it didn't need to.
It has everything we need. Fresh air, clean water, and sweet acoustic.
Huh, I half expected to hear Smash Mouth's All-Star.
Well, even if the movie played that song, I think you would have still said it anyway, since that's what you did when singing Shrek.
Also, 7 minutes and 32 seconds into the movie is when we get the title of the movie. That's like 8% of the movie already.
I mean, that's happened before since other films have shown their titles a few minutes in, such as the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs films.
And now every troll is free to be happy and live in perfect harmony.
Why do princesses always get stuck watching The Village Kids? They didn't have anyone else who could read from the sacred book of exposition?
Well, Poppy was the one narrating the story at the beginning, so it makes sense that she's the one reading to the kids here.
What the hell are these little things? They're not trolls, and they weren't in the rescue party from 20 years ago. So the troll race must have enslaved, trained, and domesticated an entirely new species for transportation and acoustic drumming, which is pretty goddamn gruesome.
I think these are caterpillar-like forest creatures, and I'm sure that the trolls didn't enslave them, they probably just like hanging out with them.
Something's missing.
Phew, we were almost at the 10-minute mark, and I was worried we weren't going to get any scatological humor in this f***ing thing.
Well, DreamWorks has done this with their other films, so get used to it.
I don't do happy.
But why not? Yes, he's had a traumatic event in his past, but he's a troll, and trolls seem to be genetically predisposed to happiness, but Branch is all rebelliously sad.
You answered yourself. Branch's trauma of his grandma getting eaten led him to feeling cynical and depressed, which is why he isn't like the others.
YOLO!
Damn, it's almost like this script was written by 47-year-old dudes that were forced to come up with how they think young millennials talk. Hey, it was!
And the two writers for this film, Jonathan Eibel and Glenn Berger, are around that age, so what's the problem here?
This movie is basically the ant and the grasshopper fable, but with glitter feces and clown corpses.
Not really, because what the trolls learn in this film is feeling more than one thing, not values of hard work like in the ant and the grasshopper fable.
It's pretty, but I think this troll village is a little more Pandora than the filmmakers intended.
Sitting something you like.
Gotcha.
Really, movie? Can there not be one animated non-Pixar movie that doesn't have the character poops when scared cliche?
Well, here's 5 I can name that don't have that. The Princess and the Frog, Moana, Sing, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and Zootopia.
Celebrate freedom from the Bergens!
Branch decimated this invitation when Poppy gave it to him, but it's magically without a scratch here because we need a reason to like this character.
First part of the sin is agreed with, but I'd like to say that this and the other invitations he's kept are here to show that he isn't all grouchy and a bit lonely.
Will you go to Bergen Town with me and save everyone?
There are still like 30 trolls left in the village, but Poppy goes to the one dude that doesn't get along with anyone to ask for help.
Well, it makes sense that she does this since Branch knows more about the Bergens than the other trolls and tries to be prepared for them.
And it's my fault they were taken, and now I don't know what to do.
Why don't you try scrapbooking them to freedom?
Jesus, this movie cast maybe the two most likable leads in the world, but gave them such huge character flaws that it's impossible to root for either of them.
Firstly, like I've said before, you don't always have to root for protagonists. Secondly, if characters didn't have flaws, then the movie's story would just end up being boring.
Hey, anytime, Poppy. See you in 10 years.
Branch clearly doesn't expect Poppy or any of the trolls to live that long.
Well, yeah, since he assumes that the Bergens will end up eating them.
This journey to Bergen Town is suddenly fraught with peril, but just 20 years ago, the king lit a bunch of slow-ass trolls out here in less than a day.
Well, the movie shows that it takes Poppy and Branch more than a day to get to Bergen Town, so that was probably the same thing in the beginning.
Also, if this is how dangerous the jungle is, then they may be safer with the Bergens. They just try and eat them once a year.
Well, considering the fact that they still try to eat them, no, they wouldn't be safer with the Bergens.
Wrong! Well, you can go ahead and bring it!
Poppy survives this.
Well, yeah, because the point of the song is that Poppy is willing to overcome obstacles to save her friends, no matter how dangerous they are.
Also, I know most kids at this age won't be asking those questions yet, but this is not the best way to be teaching them about reproduction.
Well, this is just a gag in an animated comedy film, so it doesn't have to entirely explain reproduction to the audience.
Poppy's walk to Bergen Town takes her through an acid rainstorm, a desert, and a f***ing blizzard within the span of one day.
Yeah? So?
Branch ex machina.
Considering we've already met Branch, yeah, that term doesn't mean what you think it means.
Poppy, hang on!
Branch must have been following Poppy throughout this journey, right? And if so, he's casually watched her get threatened with fire, eaten, pooped into an egg, and poisoned, but chooses now to get concerned about her well-being.
Well, she survived all of those previous obstacles and was fine, but didn't get past the spiders on her own, so Branch being concerned here makes sense.
You don't know anything, Poppy. And I can't wait to see the look on your face when you realize the world isn't all cupcakes and rainbows.
Why did Branch come on this excursion then? I know he wanted to get away from the hugging and singing at Trolltown, but he could have gone anywhere else.
True, but Branch joined Poppy because he previously said that he didn't think she would be able to get to Bergen Town all by herself.
Wait, that's a boot, and fast food litter, and a car tire. There are humans here? Or there were humans, which is the more disturbing option?
Well, these movies never show us humans, so all these things could come from the Bergen since this is near Bergen Town.
Now I'm thinking we hug.
Movie continues to derive humor out of various characters soiling themselves in terror.
Well, just because you don't like this doesn't mean that others do as well, so I think I'll give out my award here.
Wait, you're telling me there's only one Flurg restaurant in town, but there are 3 Narnars?
Yeah.
As appalled as I am to see a gorilla song used in a subpar movie, I'm also wondering why the Bergens would be singing this lyric. I thought it was a matter of civic pride that they aren't happy.
Well, the whole point of this in general is to show the audience how unhappy the Bergens have become over 20 years. But more importantly, the real sin is that the Bergens are singing here, even though we were previously told that they don't know how to sing.
Damn, their king.
What happened to the John Cleese version of the King? It's been 20 years, sure, but young Gristle is under 21 at this point. He couldn't have been that old. And who knows how long the Bergens live? I want answers to these unimportant questions.
Firstly, since we never see King Gristle Sr. again, it's implied that he passed away and Gristle Jr. eventually took his place as king. Secondly, since those questions are unimportant, like you said, they don't need to be explained, it would just end up slowing down the runtime.
We must all remain calm.
Especially since at least 3/4 of you could simply fit between the bars of the cage and just walk the hell out of here. Sorry, Biggie.
They could, and still free Biggie, but they wouldn't do that at this moment since Chef is standing right in front of them.
Oh, my dad said the first time should be special.
This second fake out is long enough to remind me that even though it's only 81 minutes long, this movie had to pad its runtime.
Which is ironic coming from the guy who says irrelevant things in order to pad the runtime and sin count in his videos.
And Bridget is dead.
I get that you're making a joke here, but this doesn't kill her.
As a Bergen Beat magazine? Who publishes it? Who writes the articles? There's a cover story titled End Misery, but how the hell do they know how to do that? And why does Bridget have to hide it anyway?
Well, like I said before, that's not something the movie's going to explain because it isn't important to the story that is being told here.
Hello?
This is silly, but to be fair, it's only the second silliest video ever made for this song.
Okay, so what makes that wrong here?
I'm not! Why won't you sing?
Because singing killed my grandma, okay?
So that's funny to you and therefore worthy of a sin. Okay then.
Nothing he can say. A total eclipse of the heart.
Apparently all the fantasy characters in this fantasy movie grew up listening to the same 1980s human power ballads.
Yeah, so?
I just assumed you had a terrible voice.
No, it was like an angel's. At least that's what Grandma used to say.
That's also what Lou Pearlman said.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
At this point, you could tell me I'm watching the movie Sing, and I would totally believe you.
Well, maybe now, but people didn't always think that since Sing came out more than a month after this movie back in 2016.
Don't you know anything about sarcasm?
I think I had a sarcasm once.
This movie attempts to throw in a singular adult joke, but is so obvious that their punishment should be explaining the birds and bees to every child who saw this.
Well, I'm sure that the kids watching aren't going to get it and only the adults will, which happens with most adult jokes in these kinds of films.
Also, this forces me to imagine a trollgasm.
Jeremy Sins himself cliche.
Is this the third or fourth time-killing song montage this movie has made me suffer through? I lost count.
It's the 7th song montage in the film, and also, that's on you, not the movie, so I'll be giving this sin my award as well.
I'll just get my worthless scullery maid to get another place setting ready for the lovely lady Glitter Sparkles.
Gristle only introduced Bridget as his +1, so the only way Chef could know her name is if the screenwriters were committed to seeing Christine Baranski chew the hell out of this line.
Except that's not true, because when he introduced her to Chef in this same scene, he said, "Meet the lovely lady Glitter Sparkles."
Up top. Too slow.
To what are we granting the reason for this emotional renaissance to Branch? Sure, he told the story about his singing getting his grandma murdered, but it doesn't. I mean, I'm sorry. That story is so f***ing stupid.
Calling Branch's sad backstory stupid, that's worth these many sins.
How is this skate being propelled exactly? Or steered?
Because Fuzzbird is controlling it, which you're literally showing right here.
I'm sick of writing them, you're sick of hearing them, but can we please rise above glitter shitting? Or is that just where we are as a movie society? You don't see that stuff in Manchester by the Sea.
Well, lots of other animated movies don't have this, so...
All the trolls survived this.
Yeah, so...
Now let's prepare the main course.
Movie needs to pick a side, be a bonkers fairy tale about a grim death for the protagonist, or a lighthearted adventure for a f***ing toy line.
Well, I'm sure the movie can have both sides, because even lighthearted animated movies have dark things as a way to tell their stories.
Bergen ex machina. Seriously, these f***ing trolls get amazingly lucky this whole movie. This is like Forrest Gumpian levels of luck.
But like with Branch, we've already known Bridget and the other Bergens prior to this, so this also wouldn't be a Deus Ex Machina.
And I love you for that. I love you too, Bridget.
For no other reason this movie gives me except plot convenience.
And also because they've bonded, and that Poppy has shown Bridget that there are more ways to be happy besides eating a troll.
Once again, how the hell is this skate propelling its off?
Firstly, this is the only time the skate's been moving by itself, and secondly, like you said, it doesn't matter.
It's inside you. It's inside of all of us.
I got this feeling inside my bones.
And by inside you, I mean this song will be stuck inside your head for the next 3 days.
Sinning can't stop the feeling. That's worth these many sins.
How the did all these trolls get in here? They were already halfway through the escape tunnel, and the primary characters were the only ones that crashed through the window.
Like with the questions you asked earlier, explain that would just show unimportant scenes that would end up making the film longer.
Aw, those cute, happy little trolls just murdered someone. That's totes adorbs.
Except the trolls didn't murder Chef and Creek, and they both end up getting eaten by a monster later during the mid-credits scene.
Our new queen!
Yeah, but can he do that? I mean, he's still alive and all. Can't she continue to be the leader as princess? I feel like Daddy Troll is getting a little caught up in the moment.
Yes, he can, because as king, he has the choice to abdicate, and as his daughter, Poppy would become queen, being next in line for the throne.
Oh, you think that's the end, and you can finally escape this nightmare and get your kids to their dentist appointments now? No, there's 3 f***ing minutes of B-roll troll singing credits to come.
Well, this movie is a musical, so this makes sense, and also you're more so telling us a fact here, so why do you think that this is wrong, Jer? And here's the end result, everybody. This in total was 267, and the sentence will be eaten by a Bergen. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a nice day.